A 3-part conversation with the Arcturians. March 23, 2015. Part 1. I just woke up from my dream saying, "Tell me what I need to do to keep my home." In my dream there was a long story going on and on about this person who was supposedly helping me, then that person was going to help me, but no one was actually helping me. Finally, I took charge of the situation and opened the door to the room, and marched in firmly saying to the man behind the desk, "Tell me what I need to do to keep my home." The dream felt very important, but did not know how. Therefore, I grabbed my journal and a pen and went into the next room to ask the Arcturians what that dream was about. "Dear Suziel," they said, "you will need to release your ego self in order to clearly receive our answer. You, meaning you and the greater you, are on the cusp of ascension. Yes, you. Now, before you ask us questions, let us define the cusp of ascension. The cusp of ascension means that you must let go. You must let go of all that is physical. In other words, you must detach from what is physical and attach to what is fifth-dimensional. This process begins with your thoughts. While you are in this corridor, our corridor, that which has defined you in the physical world is of no consequence to your ascension process. Just as millions of people never consider their higher dimensional life or even what you would call a second, you, the ones on the cusp of ascension, must diminish how you consider that which is considered to be physical. Do you remember the reality in which you were a Tibetan monk? In that reality, you lived in a completely safe environment on the top of a mountain. Therefore, releasing all that was physical was simple. However, you did not release the physical. That is, you did not release it until your monastery was invaded. Do you remember that? No, I reply, but I have always had a distant memory of that monastery and cried through an entire move about Tibet. You lived many happy lives there, continued the Arcturian, but in one life your monastery was attacked. You then went into a deep meditation and completely left your physical body so that you could speak to the higher minds of the attackers. You showed them, in their minds, the reality they would live if they were responsible for the downfall of the pinnacle of that area. Some of the attackers left their bodies because of that message. Some of them even rose into the fourth dimension because of the power of the message's unconditional love. But you remained neutral. You refused to participate in that reality and sent unconditional love and violet fire to your attackers. Many tried to kill you, but your body was resonating to such a high frequency that they could not harm you. In fact, you expanded the frequency of the monastery into a higher frequency that the attackers could not perceive. All the monks who could resonate to that frequency populated that higher dimensional monastery. Meanwhile, the monks who chose to fight for their monastery died as brave warriors. When they died, they too populated the higher dimensional monastery. The escaping marauders took other monks away. However, once they left their sacred space, they all chose to release their life force to die, and return to the higher frequency of the temple. They too joined you in the higher dimensional monastery. Every single monk returned to his higher dimensional body to live within the higher frequencies of the monastery, so that they could serve the sacred land, and ground the thought form of a brighter future for their people. We are not saying that you will need to leave your physical form, as in your now that form of dying is no longer necessary. We have trained our representatives for many incarnations, as well as for decades of their present earth body. We do not want you, meaning all our emissaries of light, to leave your earth vessel before you have completed your missions. You are all just now coming into the pinnacle of your missions. When you chose to take an earth vessel to assist with personal and planetary ascension, you did so as initiates. Every moment of your lives, whether or not you knew it, has been a component of your ascension. We remind each individual that you are not the only ones who have chosen this mission, but you are the ones to whom we are speaking. You are among the ones who have volunteered to go first. You, the first ones, must clear away the rubble of that which has blocked the way for more time than you could count. In fact, you all had many similar incarnations to Suziel's. In these lives, you came into a 3D reality that had been destroyed to clear the rubble and create hope and rejuvenation. In many of these lives, you died, crossed over, when your work was done, and new life was restored to that which had been destroyed. Now, our dear representatives, you are moving through the rubble of your myriad lives on Earth to ascend the components of those lives that became trapped in the 3D illusion. Can you let go of those earthly worries and remember how to live in total faith and complete peace? Perhaps, right now you can. But, can you let go when fear of loss creeps into your consciousness? Then, can you perceive your third-dimensional reality as an illusion, yet live it every day as if it were real? We highlight these sentences because they represent your greatest challenge. You want the peace and enlightenment of absolute surrender to your process, but can you find the self-discipline to live your life as a master? Mastery begins by becoming the master of your thoughts. Only after you are the master of your thoughts, can you become the master of your emotions. The process begins with the mastery of thoughts, as thoughts initiate and emotions respond to that which has been initiated. You may believe that your thoughts are in response to your emotions, but you would not have those emotions without the corresponding thoughts. Therefore, dear masters, in order to master your emotions, you must be the master, the conscious creator, of your every thought, even in your fourth-dimensional dream life. Your thoughts call for emotions to live within them, so that they can become a thought form. Ascension begins with your thoughts and is fueled with your emotions. Emotions are very important in your process, as those wearing an earth vessel are accustomed to ignoring their thoughts. On the other hand, emotions refuse to be ignored and will amplify until they are recognized. Fortunately, thoughts are often invisible to your conscious perception. They can act as a sniper in the tree that creates your fears. Conversely, your thoughts also receive the messages from your higher self, who guides you through your life. Since these higher frequency messages are in light language, you will often perceive them as a certain feeling that may be perceived as an emotion. When these messages carry the feeling emotion of unconditional love, you will know that they come from your own higher dimensional self. We often commune with you when you return from sleep, your interdimensional travel, to hitch a ride in your consciousness in the form of an awakening dream. Many of you have learned to wake yourself up after you have an important dream message so that you can carry it into your waking consciousness. Part 2. We were leaving town for a fun retreat, so I had no more time to write. I had to pack and get ready to leave, which is a metaphor in itself. Several hours later, we had gone through Sunday traffic, had a nice meal in Malibu, and were listening to music as we drove along the beautiful California coastline when I felt another message. My computer was packed, so I rummaged through my purse to find a pen and a small notebook. Balancing the notebook in one hand while I wrote with the other, I wrote down the next part of my morning message. I began my interdimensional communication in the manner I often use by writing, "Dear Arcturians, do you have a message for me?" In this case, I was asking for more information about my dream. I instantly received, "Let go, Suziel. Let go of all 3D concerns." Yes, sure, I thought. No small task. Ignoring my remark, the Arcturians continued, "Where your attention is, there you are also. Feel the higher frequencies. Feel these higher frequencies within your body, within your core and within your kundalini. The first ones to enter our corridor must be willing to do so. Alone, without question, and most important, without doubt. Suziel, do you remember the feeling of unconditional love we sent to you in your March 20, 2015 meditation? Whenever you feel a message accompanied by that feeling, you know that it is from the higher dimensions." The Arcturians then began a deeper interpretation of my dream. When you asked, what I need to do to keep my home. The house was not the house of your body, but the house of your soul. The house of your body is your 3D home. The house of your soul is your 3D earth vessel. When you asked, what do I need to do to keep my home? What home were you speaking of? Were you speaking of the home of your body or the home of your soul? Remember, letting go does not mean to die. Instead, we ask you to let go of the fear of dying, as Tibetan monks did. Dying is a 3D term. Nothing dies in the higher dimensions, but transmutes back to the higher frequency that it has always been. Transmutation is not a system of releasing or even repairing. Transmutation is a system of expansion back to your multidimensional self. You do not leave, you expand. Your physical house is the symbol of your physical body. There is no need to leave your body to ascend. There is no leaving in ascension. Jesus and other ascended masters did not die to ascend. When they ascended, they stayed on earth to give great service to others. They did not need to die to gain the fifth dimensional consciousness that allowed them to perform miracles in their physical world. What humanity sees as miracles is normal in the fifth dimension and beyond. Ascension is the process of remembering your higher dimensional consciousness and abilities, then choosing to remain in what appears to be a physical body in order to service others. Ascension has nothing to do with dying. In fact, dying is a third-dimensional concept. There is no death in the fifth dimension and beyond. Ascension does mean dying to the 3D to go home. Ascension means staying to serve others when you know that you could flow home into the fifth dimension and beyond. You do not die for ascension. You live for ascension. Part 3. The next day in the hotel room, after a fun night and lovely morning, I tried to take a nap. Instead, while listening to lovely music, I reached over to the computer beside the bed and wrote with one hand. Release 3D consequences to find 5D solutions. 3D is illusion. 5D is creation. In the 3D we create illusion. In 5D we know truth. We live in, and die from, the 3D. In the 5D we are free. In between, in the 4D, we remember. When we remember, we are free. Channeled by Suzanne Lee. www.suzanneleephd.blogspot.com